Hi, I'm Kouvo from Fitting Fitness In. I'm a personal trainer, a nutrition specialist, and a functional aging specialist. And welcome to this episode of Get Healthy with Holly. Today we're going to talk about functional longevity, or functional aging. What exactly is that? Well, in this slide, you can see there's two women approximately the same age. But which life are you designing? One of them is in a nursing home with a walker, and one of them's out there stretching and swimming in the ocean. In this next slide, we see that we have Harriet Anderson. She's 79 years old, and she just won, as the oldest athlete, the Ironman World Championships. And her motto is, I used to think 50 was old. I was wrong, not even close. Or we have Yvonne Dowson, who is an 88-year-old figure skater. And her motto is, as you grow older, if you don't move, you won't be able to move. So that's what functional aging is. Or you can take a look at Banana George Blair, who is 98 years old and still water skiing. He says, I don't wait for the next thing to happen, I make it happen. So where do you want to be as you're aging? How do we ensure functional longevity or functional aging? And what does that mean? It means maintaining your ability to do what you need to do, what you want to do, and what you like to do as late in life as possible. It's the quality plus quantity which equals your functional longevity. So what does that mean to us? It means that we have to start thinking about shifting our way of aging or shifting our way of thinking about aging. There's three different paradigm shifts that we need to make. And the first one is, aging isn't the bad guy. We're going to age, but you can age well, and we'll get to how to do that. The next one is, old isn't a number, it's a state of mind. How old is old? For me, I say 100 is old. And I teach senior fitness, and I've got people in there into their 90s. And old is really a state of mind. In this slide, we have Satchel Paige, and he says, how old would you be if you didn't know how old you were? How old are you in your head? How old do you believe you are? Age is just a number. So the third paradigm shift that we need to make is that we are responsible for how we age. We are in control of how we age. Genetics, in this slide showing, genetics really only accounts for 25% of the aging process. The other 75% is up to you. Genetics is only 25% of the aging process. There's two different types of aging. Primary aging, which is biological aging, and secondary aging, which is more lifestyle aging. So the primary aging, or biological aging, you're born, you mature, you peak somewhere in the 30s, you decline, and you die. Everybody's going to go through it. You can't stop that. The secondary aging, or lifestyle aging, is the aging process that's due to our lifestyle choices, our nutrition, our physical activity, the stress that we have, the environment that we live in. Those are the secondary or lifestyle aging properties, and that's how you can control how you age. So there's extensive studies have done on astronauts and on master athletes. Those are athletes that are well into their 80s and 90s, even hundreds. It shows that most negative aspects of aging associated with the aging process is due to the secondary aging, not primary aging. So what does that mean? The problem's not that you're 60, 70, or 80. The problem is that for 30, 40, 50 years, you've been less active. You've chosen unhealthy foods. You've had excess meals. 50 years of eating ice cream, sitting on the couch watching TV, that adds up. but it's not too late. It's never too late. Modern medicine now has added 30 years to our lives. How do you want to spend those extra 30 years? Do you want to be functioning? Do you want to do what you need to do, what you like to do, and what you want to do as long in life as possible? This is the functional aging that I'm talking about. And how do we ensure functional longevity or the functional aging? Well, exercise is definitely one of them. And walking, most people will say walking is the best exercise. Well, walking is great. It's free. You can do it almost anywhere. Even in the winter, you can go to the mall in New England and walk around the mall. But is it enough? Will you get a productive workout just walking? Not really, because you don't usually walk fast enough to make it productive. The next thing people always say is strength training. Well, yeah, definitely strength training. But traditional strength training isn't going to cut it. Just doing bicep curls with your weights is not going to cut it. You need to do functional exercises, exercise that emulate what you do in a normal daily life. Also, you want to do exercises that cross your body. You want to make sure that you're doing exercises that cross the sagittal plane, cross the frontal plane, because that engages your brain as well as your body. So let's start with a wood chop. So wood chop, one weight, you're going to bring it up high, come down across your body into a squat and down to the side, just like you're chopping wood. Chopping wood. You see those wood choppers are in pretty good shape. So you want to make sure you go to the other side as well. So cross-body movement is key. Another one that we do here is called the lawnmower, pulling it up like this, or now in New England, when it's winter, we call it the snowblower, as you're pulling the cord for the snowblower. Okay? Make sure you do both sides. You can add a level of complexity to that by adding a balance component. So when you go down, you lift that leg up so that you have to balance, and by balancing, you're engaging your core muscles. You want to make sure that you engage everything. And then let's do the other side, because we don't want to be off balance. So, another thing that you want to make sure that when you're doing one side, that you do the other side. Sometimes part of your body is going to be, one side of your body is going to do better than the other side. I find that if you sleep on your side, that side of your body is going to be tighter. So you have to work a little harder to stretch that out or to get better balance on that side. But we want to make sure that you add enough complexities to make it a little more challenging. Another one is, let me grab this weight. We do a lunge. So here we are in this. Come on up and do a little bit of a twist. It sends you off balance. So it engages your core. That's key, engaging your core muscles. And that's why it's really important to work out those core muscles and get stronger as you use those core muscles. Another way that you can make it more challenging is to take it down to the floor. Maybe on one knee, and then on the other knee, or even more, take it down to both knees. Bring it up and over. Or do it from here, because this is throwing you off balance. You're not as stable as you are on your feet if you are on your knees. Even more so on one knee. So those are the things that you want to challenge yourself. You want to make sure that you're doing exercises that emulate your everyday activities, like the wood chop. Maybe you're emulating chopping wood, but you're also emulating picking up groceries from the grocery bag and putting it up in the cabinet. Or I like to think I'm picking my suitcase up and putting it in the overhead bin in the airline or in the airplane so that I can travel. These are the kinds of exercises, functional exercises, that are going to keep you active and functioning long into your later years in life, not just straight bicep curls. Okay? Now, those are different things that you can do to keep you in a functioning longer and later in life. So as far as cardio, walking, yes, that's good, but you do have to do enough that's going to get your heart rate up. It's very important that that is working hard too, because that's your cardiovascular system. You want to make sure that you can do that. Okay, also, it's not just exercise that helps with functional longevity. It's your mental acuity or your cognitive abilities that make a difference too. Your balance makes a difference, your cognitive ability. You want to make sure that you're working the brain as well. And some of these exercises that go cross-body are engaging your brain because you're going across from one plane to the other. Your brain is engaging. Those synapses are flying or firing off. So that's what we want to make sure. So we're going to cover that, balance and brain cognitive abilities, in my next episode. But for now, let's take it into the kitchen and learn some healthy recipes. Welcome to the kitchen. Today it's going to be all things kale. Kale is a nutritional powerhouse of a vegetable. It is bright, dark green, awesome. And 1 cup of kale has only about 38 calories, maybe 36, 38 calories, but 5 grams of fiber, 0 fat, so that's a good thing. And iron, you'll be surprised, but per calorie, kale has more iron than beef. So it's a great thing to help increase your iron, and it's full of vitamins. 1 cup of kale provides more than 88% of the recommended daily allowance of vitamin C. It has vitamin K. 1 cup gives you 1,327% of the recommended daily allowance. And vitamin A, 1 cup gives you 192% of our recommended daily allowance for vitamin A. But not only that, it has calcium. Calcium to maintain healthy bones and to prevent osteoporosis. So that's why I'm featuring kale today in the functional longevity episode, because it's got wonderful characteristics and it has wonderful things that it does for your body. It also has antioxidants, it lowers your blood pressure, it's good for digestion, it gives you cardiovascular health, and it's anti-inflammatory. It provides 100% or at least 10% of the recommended daily allowance of your omega-3s. So it's a wonderful vegetable. So let's start with this sauteed kale recipe that's in my book. I have several recipes in the book and they go by season. So this is in the spring, so we're kind of jumping ahead a little bit. So we're going to start with our ingredients. 2 tablespoons of oil, olive oil. I have a 1/2 cup of red pepper, a 1/2 cup of diced onion. I have a 1/2 cup of some chicken stock and about 4 cups of chopped kale. Now, I chopped this last night. You want to cut out the stems so that you don't have any thick pieces in there. So let's start with olive oil, and we're going to do our onions and peppers first because we want them to cook down, especially the onions, because they'll get a little sweeter. And you know that kale is a bit bitter, and so you really do need to add something to it and cook it with things to make it a little bit more palatable. So I have a friend who likes to make chopped kale and carrot salad, and she says that she will drizzle some lemon in it and put it in the refrigerator for a few hours, and then that lemon helps to reduce the bitterness a little bit. So we want to saute these for a few minutes just so they get soft, because we don't want, especially the onion, you don't want to have it too hard. Okay, and we're going to put in our kale. This is about 4 cups of kale. And then we'll add in our 1/2 cup of chicken stock. And mix that up. Okay, so we're going to let that cook, but luckily I have some already done. And this is what it looks like once it's done. Very colorful. That's why I add the little red peppers in there to make it not just tasty, but also colorful. So that's what the sauteed kale looks like. That's what the sauteed kale recipe is. Now I'm going to take it one step further, and I'm going to add it to some mashed potatoes that I made last night, and it will become Kale. I don't know if you've had any of that in the past. It's a nice Irish recipe. There's also a nice Irish song, Kale. And since we're coming up on St. Patrick's Day next month, it's a nice little extra recipe to have. So we'll just mix this up into these mashed potatoes. So I find that once I make sauteed kale, I use it for several different things, and I use it for several different days. So you can eat it just like that. You can mix it in to your mashed potatoes. You can mix it in on a sandwich. Here we go. And that's Kale. And now we're going to do some baked kale chips. My kids really love this as a snack, a very healthy snack. And then you can figure out how much salt you want to put on. I don't put a lot of salt on. But what you want to do is chop up your kale. You want to cut along the stem so that you take that out and cut it into smaller pieces. And then we're going to put that on a sheet pan with parchment paper. Preheat your oven to 350. Spread it out a little bit. There we go. And then you just drizzle some olive oil on there. If you have one of those olive oil spritzers from Pampered Chef, which is kind of nice, I forgot to bring mine, but you can just drizzle some on. A nice little bit. There we go. And then you're going to pretty much salt to taste. So, whoops. Now remember, it's a snack. So you might want a little bit more salt. Plus it takes away the bitter taste. Well, it helps take away the bitter taste. Okay, and then we're going to put it in the oven for about 10 to 15 minutes. You want to make sure that the edges brown a little bit, but you don't want it to get burnt. So I'm going to put this in the oven. Right here. And luckily, I have one that's already done. And these are your kale chips. It's a great snack to have when the kids come home from school, or a little snack to have while you're making dinner. So it's a healthy snack and you're not ruining your appetite for dinner. But these are great kale chips. Again, all things kale. Here's our recipes. This is the sauteed kale. I threw a little bit of radish garnishes on there. Sauteed kale that you can find in my book. Again, you can get my book either on Amazon or on my website, fittingfitnessin.com. We have the Kale, which is the mashed potatoes with that sauteed kale, and we have our kale chips. So those are our recipes today. I want to thank you for joining me today. Feel free, if you want to ask any questions, you can reach me on the contact form on my website, fittingfitnessin.com. The recipes from today will also be up on my website under Get Healthy with Holly. And I'm looking forward to seeing you next month, where we will focus on balance. See you next month.